DDG episode 20. We are 20 episodes in already. It's crazy. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going? I want to clap, but I'm trying to hold myself back.
Yeah, you're funny. So, I've been having fun all week messing with audio. The first week I used the new mixer, it sounded really good. Like one of the better sounding ones. And then I didn't touch anything, and episode 19 sounded not as good.
Fucking technology, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple things that I was going for with the goals with the mixer, and eventually an XLR mic was going to be an upgrade for me, but now it's just kind of happened because it was needed and necessary. Needed and necessary is hard to say, but it was easier to use. And then messing with some other stuff with party chat and everything like that for streams, and I'm trying to ultimately have what I think that I would love to have and what we can get are two totally different things in terms of like not having anything plugged in my controller, one microphone for the consoles and for the gaming PC and for the streaming PC. Like it probably isn't doable, but we'll see.
It's crazy complex. Like the more you get into it, the more you find little things that you can improve upon. And it's like, okay, well, I got to order this now, then get this to work. It gets kind of crazy. Like I just upgraded my set by just, buying like a Raspberry Pi tablet. And then now I have that hooked up as a second monitor just because I don't want to lose desk space.
Right. So we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that releases every Thursday on all podcast services. There's only like one or two that we're not on. We're also live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, where you can catch us Sunday nights or Monday nights. Just depends. It seems like when we wait till Monday, something always kind of interesting comes up. So, and then just with some of the things going on with our schedules this week we're recording on a Monday, but it allowed some more news to happen. But overall, it's fine. So you can find us on, like I said, multiple podcast networks. If the network that you listen to or use, if it allows you to leave us a review or any kind of rating, please do so. That is much appreciated. And also just sharing the show in general is a huge help. Download numbers are good. More people listening to the show always helps. And following us on the social networks is a big win as well. So if you can do any of those things, we would appreciate it. We'll go over the social networks at the end of the episode. So I'm going to throw it over to Michael, and we've got a couple news stories.
We are going to continue the saga that is E3 2020. This luckily isn't coronavirus related just yet. That is the next hurdle E3 2020 has to make it over. But this one is interesting because E3 2020, the ESA, they have lost their partners, more specifically their creative directors for E3 2020. I Am 8-Bit last week said, with mixed emotions, I Am 8-Bit has decided to resign as creative directors of what was to be an evolutionary E3 2020 floor experience. We've produced hundreds of gaming plus community events, and it was a dream to be involved with E3. We wish the organizers the best of luck. So pretty ominous sounding. Sounds like there's some sort of creative differences. Just their wording is very, very specific, and I'm sure their wording went through multiple people at I Am 8-Bit, and this was the statement they wanted to release. The key to me is, they've resigned as creative directors of what was to be an evolutionary show floor experience. That seems kind of huge, especially we're 3 months away, and we're currently in the point where people are questioning whether E3 2020 is even going to happen, and losing the creative director for this new show floor experience, which was supposed to have installations with influencers and celebrities and tournaments and all this stuff. They were trying to make one-of-a-kind experiences for every booth. Having them just resign out of nowhere is pretty crazy, and this almost makes you wonder what is going on, specifically when Jeff Keighley, a month ago, said he wasn't going to be going to E3 because he didn't like the direction it was heading.
Yeah, it's scary.
You think this is scary?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is scary because we don't know what they're going to what they're gonna do. Like we already thought, like setting aside the potential for E3 to be canceled because GDC's been canceled and certain parts of the world are closing and shutting down because of the coronavirus. Like the concern was, is E3 still relevant? And the way that they were maybe trying to stay relevant was to turn, to double down on the influencers and the streamers, which I don't think was a bad idea because that's a much more efficient way to deliver your content. You can control the message. You can have them, do certain things when you want them to do versus like we've always talked about E3 being like a deadline for companies. So getting influencers in, to advertise your games, similar to how companies do gaming events with embargoes of like when they want the stuff to be talked about and then everybody can talk about it at the same time versus somebody sticking their phone inside of a door at E3 and taking a picture of a poster and us speculating for 1,000 hours of what it is. Those days are gone. Companies would rather just release something on Twitter and move forward from there, or to release a press release and a trailer and on YouTube and be done. They don't need people like us going there and playing their game, quote unquote, behind closed doors and then writing something a month later about it when the hype of E3 has gone down. But for them, whatever direction that they were deciding that they were going to go, and they found I Am 8-Bit to help with that direction, and I Am 8-Bit to either decide because of meetings or because of something else that they're like, I'm out.
Yeah. The reason I feel like this is definitely some sort of disagreement about the creative direction is because if I Am 8-Bit wanted to, even though it's, sounds bad, they could have used the coronavirus as a reason of just like, hey, due to concerns, we don't want to, work on this. We don't want to risk the health of our, employees, having them like travel out. Because I'm assuming there's a lot of travel involved when you're planning a big show like this, beforehand. I'm sure there's so much work that goes into it. If they wanted to be like, as a company, like, hey, we just don't want to do anything major right now, for our employees. The fact that this was just like, hey, we're done and it was going to be great, guys, but we're not going to do it. Like, there's ways to message it, and the way they message it seems like there was definitely like some sort of disagreement. And the ESA did respond to this. They kind of just did the usual thing where like, they appreciated I Am 8-Bit as a partner, but they still have multiple agencies that they're working for, and they hope to make this year like an exciting and authentic experience, whatever that means. But losing the creative director 3 months out has to be devastating in terms of,
especially in your first year, because there's not even like somebody else that you can go to and offer the position to that's maybe done it for a couple of years before, or a qualified person that has experience doing this. Like, this is a new thing, and it sounded like they had a company that they were confident with, but I'm assuming there was some out for them at a certain point in time, which I'm guessing maybe was March 1st.
Maybe, yeah, because that would make sense, I guess. And they just, announced it, and I would imagine if, like, you've been to E3, I've been to E3, we've seen how some of these booths can be, like the Fortnite booth that one year probably wasn't made in a month. It probably took several months to make. And if they're promising like these like unique experiences, I would imagine there's going to be some like crazy booth designs or things happening at these booths that probably take several months to put together. So losing 3 months out is going to be devastating. And now I'm more interested in E3 for the wrong reasons. It continues to happen where every time there's an announcement about E3 2020, I have morbid curiosity, which is a shame because I love E3.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's getting weird, and we're getting really, really close. It's only 3 months out. Like, I don't know if you know this, Dave. E3 is only 3 months out.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. Like, we're applying this week. If we get approved, we get approved. If it's not safe for us to go, like, we're not gonna go. Like, it's Michael and I are all for, like, we're all for it either way, spending the money or not spending the money to go. We understand the opportunities it presents to us and to DDG as a growing community and a growing form of content creation, but it's not going to be one of those things where if we remotely think that there's going to be a problem, like I'm not, I'm not putting Michael's a good friend of mine, but I'm not putting DDG above my family.
Yeah. And even then, the way E3's looking, it looks like it might be only worth it to go for one day,
Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
We've done some crazy stuff like that before. You and I both have done some fly-ins and fly-out and 36-hour things. So,
whew, yeah. And when I talk to the other people at the event, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm here for a couple days," and I'm like, "I work tomorrow." Yeah. Oh, you got another game to cover? Nah, I got to be at Target at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah. So, hopefully that they do something, but I mean, I don't know enough. Ultimately, at the end of it, I don't know enough about I Am 8-Bit to see how they would or wouldn't have been able to pull this off, or we have no idea. Maybe it's something that they realize, like, hey, we can't present the image that we want to present. Like, it's not possible.
Yeah, it could just be something as simple as money. Like they had crazy ideas, and ESA's like, no, we can't afford that. Who knows? Though ESA is technically all the major publishers, or majority of them, so there is money there, so who knows exactly what happened.
All right, our next story is one of the worst kept secrets. Call of Duty Warzone is the new Battle Royale mode, and it comes out at the time of this recording, at the time of this live stream, tomorrow, Tuesday, the 10th of March. And it is a Battle Royale. It looks like it has multiple modes.
It has 2 modes. Warzone, which is the 150 trio squad-based Battle Royale game. And then there is another mode, Plunder. Plunder, it's just you fight to collect in-game cash and try and get as much cash as you can. This, I believe, was a mode that they experimented with in Blackout, like during one of their like events. So this is its own mode. But the key thing with this, though, Dave, is it is completely free to play, and it is free to play, right? It is by itself.
It is. I saw a tweet today that you retweeted, actually, I believe, on the account. Mm-hmm. That Call of Duty Modern Warfare owners have a smaller download to get, which isn't surprising because they're probably using some of the core engine parts, and they actually get a little bit of earlier access to it.
And their what is it? The Battle Pass and their cosmetics will be transferred over to the game or accessible.
And then everybody else that doesn't own Modern Warfare can download it at a later time, not day. And it's a substantial download. So if it's something that you are thinking of checking out, and at the time of listening to this, you haven't downloaded it yet, maybe kick it off before you go to bed or before you go to work, because it might be halfway done when you get home. Mm-hmm. Or if you are listening live, as soon as it's available, try to download it. Or I'm assuming if you have Modern Warfare, it'll probably just kind of download like a patch.
Yeah, it sounds like it will be like, I think I saw it's like a 20-30 gig patch. But then if you don't have the game and you just want Warzone by itself, that looks like it's going to be like a 100 gig download or something crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was like their worst kept secret, but it looks like they're upping the ante. I mean, it's going to have, the full cross-play that we're used to. So PS4, PC, Xbox One will all play together. The 150 players, they're upping that player count. Most Battle Royale games are 100 or less. They're doing 150. It's going to be interesting to see how they monetize this, but this is huge because it's Call of Duty. It's a free-to-play Call of Duty game. The Battle Royale fad is kind of on like the lower end of things, but it's still really popular, and the Call of Duty name is huge. Like I have a couple friends that when this was announced, I'm like, hey, you didn't buy Modern Warfare, you can play with us though, because now there's the Battle Royale mode.
Yeah, and it's also probably a great way to advertise for Modern Warfare and the seasonal content and all those things of like, hey, check it out, you earned this, you could use it here and here. And if it ever goes on sale digitally, I'm sure that they'll have some, PSN store link or Activision store link to take you to purchase it. So, I mean, it's a really, it's smart. It's what people thought Blackout should have been eventually. And maybe I
really thought they were going to do that.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to pull Blackout eventually,
but it sounds like they just decided that, hey, this works. Let's keep using this for data and let's make a new one.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
want to check it out.
Playing it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to playing it. I am, maybe you and I can try to play a little bit together. I have an itch to get into some battle royales more lately. I've been watching a little bit more and talking to some people, and I wanted to try Apex, and that didn't work out. And this gives me a really good excuse. And even the guy that I communicate with that handles some of the stuff for Activision said that the other mode is he knows a lot of my play style, and the second mode that's coming with it, he thinks it might be something that I could thrive in. So in terms of like how I play, so Steve knows me pretty well, and we even play video games together outside of events as friends, and he thinks it might be something that's up my alley. So,
and I love a battle royale game, and hopefully I can stick with this one, just because I've been finding myself play Overwatch again, and that's not good. Don't want to fall back into Overwatch hell.
All right, and then our second to last news. I always mess this guy's name up. So actually, you just
Reggie Fils-Aime.
Fils-Aime.
Reggie. Okay, so I'll just take this one.
Yeah.
Reggie Fils-Aime is joining the GameStop board of directors. So Reggie Fils-Aime was the president of Nintendo of America up until about 2 years ago, when Doug Bowser took over for him, which is still great that the guy that took over for him is Bowser. So Reggie Fils-Aime, he's joining GameStop, and if you haven't been following GameStop recently, or their stock as of the last couple of years, they've been in a downward spiral as they try and battle like an all-digital video game future. They probably would be a fan of our name of the show. And they've been, their stock has been tanking. They've been kind of scrambling. Now if you go into a GameStop, it's mostly Funko Pops and them trying to get your cell phone as a trade-in. Like, that's like the only things they care about.
I traded my cell phone at a GameStop years ago, and it paid for a huge chunk of like a Wii U that I had for a little while and the PS4.
It is super aggressive now. I've been to a couple GameStops over the last couple months, and it is like, hey, take your phone out, let me see it. And it's just like, no. And then, they try and offer you money for your phone, because kind of what they just do, like what most places that want your trade-in is they just, get as many electronics as possible and sell them in bulk to some, like some random business. And that has been like their main source of revenue, sadly, as the video game sales have slowed down for digital.
Right.
But Reggie is a good pick. They're getting like a video game guy.
It's not gonna say he's only one voice, people. So people are like, I saw a little bit about this, and people are kind of like thinking that this guy's gonna be like the main CEO for GameStop and stuff like that. He's not doing that. He's on their board. No. So and for the record, it's a 10-member. Nintendo under him probably was at that time the most anti-digital that they've ever been.
No, yes and no. They definitely did try and embrace it. I don't necessarily think that was Reggie. That was definitely like Nintendo Japan being anti-digital. Because like you mentioned, though, he's only one of 10 board members. The other board members are from like Walmart, Pepsi, Sam's Club, PetSmart.
So they're like the BCS of video games now.
Yeah. The only thing that like I maybe there's a little bit of hope from GameStop. There's been a bunch of test stores. They're like trying, they're trying to make some GameStops like hangout spots. I don't know how well that'll work because a lot of GameStops are really small, but in some of the bigger GameStops, they're trying, like LAN setups where you can like play on a PC that has a bunch of games on it. You pay hourly, and they're trying like D&D GameStops and just straight up like ThinkGeek GameStops, just trying anything possible to like find something that works and then run with it. Reggie seems like a good pick for the board because, he comes from a video game company, but he also has like an extensive background in a bunch of different businesses. Like just looking at his Wikipedia page, he ran Pizza Hut for a little bit. He ran Guinness Beers, Panda Express, VH1, working with MTV. So he has a pretty diverse background. So maybe as they're trying to find what works for them now, all of his vast experience, and especially that Nintendo experience, can hopefully be like a stronger voice on a board that is most likely filled with people just hoping to get that stock price up so they can sell it and then foreclose the company, which is what happens a lot with businesses that are like in this status where everything's tanked.
Yeah.
And people can go in and get stuff for cheap.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. It's a good perspective. I think bringing in people onto their board from other companies, successful companies like you mentioned, like Pepsi and Walmart, isn't a bad thing either, because they can bring an interesting perspective into what you're trying to sell and the business you're trying to encourage. Both you and I have a retail background, and I feel like the biggest challenge right now is just getting people to come in the door. It's not a matter of what's in the store; it's just having them come in the door.
Yeah, you actually, I saw on your Facebook, not to talk about your Facebook, but someone asked, like, how does purchasing and picking up in store affect business? And the answer usually is, like, the store might not get the full amount for that pickup, depending on how, that company handles that. But the hopes of doing that is you get a body in the store and hope they purchase something else when they're in that store. Maybe somehow GameStop can, try and leverage that business. I know GameStop does pickups, but there's really no incentive to do that. But their inventory is, limited to just video games and Funko Pops. But yeah, retail's tough right now. Dave definitely knows a thing or two about like how it is because he's on the manager side of things. The challenges.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just a matter of trying to figure out ways to, again, just to get people in the door, and then when you're in the door, it's trying to just see, especially like a destination shop, like a GameStop or something like that, is like the more that they put, the more randomness that they put in their store, the more likely you are to get the gawkers or the lookers. But before it was okay, like you went into a GameStop, and like my dad would not walk into a GameStop just to walk into a GameStop. He would walk in there with me, or he would be walking in there because he was getting something for myself or for his grandchildren, or so for somebody on a list. Versus if my dad like walks by a Bass Pro Shop or something like that, he's just gonna walk in there. So I think that trying to keep that relevancy going is the biggest challenge, and hopefully like Reggie can can add to that, of just from his not even his gaming perspective helps, but like you said too, his successful business practices as well.
Yeah, and one thing with GameStop is because it is like a destination store, it is a very specific store. You want people that like that hobby to be interested and look forward to going into it. But my past experiences with GameStop is I fucking dread going in them because you just get inundated with pre-order this, we need you to pre-order that. They don't care. I remember one time I went in to GameStop with Sarah, and Sarah picked up, I forgot what it was. It was like Assassin's Creed, and they're like, "Oh, you like Assassin's Creed? Well, we have a pre-order special for Madden." And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, those two games don't equate, and they need to find ways to, like, not harass customers, because right now they're kind of harassing people with, the usual pre-order games, and it's not done in a way that it feels customized, that you're having a genuine conversation with someone. It's just like, GameStop has a pre-order deal with this game. I don't care what you're buying. You should pre-order this game that is unrelated and you probably have no interest in. Or now it's also, we want your cell phone. We want you to walk out without your cell phone.
Yeah, but sadly, and this is slightly off topic a little bit, but sadly the consumers have done that to themselves.
How so?
Because they look at things from two different perspectives of giving all of your, like you and I have always talked about, like, what's the reason behind this, like what's the main reason that Xbox is pushing their services and Games Pass and the Netflix, and you're saying it's the data, and people are saying with other companies that they go to and use, whether it's Amazon or Best Buy or any of these things, or where you're purchasing things online, you're already giving them A, your data on a regular basis, B, your buying habits, and C, more than likely your money to get extra privileges to spend. You're giving them money to spend money with them.
Yeah.
Therefore, going into the store less. So when we go into the store less, when you do go into the store, you're looked at as even more important. But it also means that they need to try to squeeze every piece that they can out of you, which can come over as annoying and a nuisance. But because that we're not going in there as a consumer and buying as much as we used to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, because and I'm just using this as an example, we've given Amazon $100 a year or $70 a year to get free shipping of items to my house within 2 days or 3 days. But then when the item's not right, we take it back to Kohl's. That Kohl's has a deal with Amazon that you can ship stuff back. So it's convenient for us to wait for it to come to us, but it's not convenient when we don't want it.
Yeah. But the thing is, there's a chance for GameStop to take advantage of is this, which is why I think they're trying like the D&D GameStops and the Land Center GameStops, is keeping people in the store and making it more of a welcoming experience, as opposed to right now where I feel like when I do go in, I understand you have to pitch the thing, you have to pitch the credit card, you have to pitch everything, but if they can find a way to make that a more welcoming experience, but I in terms of like, hey, if I'm buying this game, maybe have your employees trained to like, if they're interested in this game, here's a couple other games that they could be interested in.
Yeah, not Assassin's Creed and Madden. Like,
yeah, stuff like that. And I've seen that enough times when I go in where it's just like, okay, I get you have a deal with this, like, game to pre-order. But, make it more custom, make it more welcoming. But I also, I forget what the guy's YouTube channel, if you look him up, Camelot, he's a former GameStop employee, and he's just been breaking a lot of, like, insider news at GameStop because people have been sending him stuff, and he, like, confirms that they work for GameStop. And it seems like where a lot of that pre-order pressure and cell phone pressure comes from is just straight up corporate, being like, you need to hit these marks or your hours are cut or you're fired. So I understand why when I go into a GameStop, they have to bombard me with everything because their jobs depend on it. So if they can get away from that and maybe make the lives easier for the employees, it'll be a better experience overall for the customer in the end.
Yeah, it's just fascinating in general to see how they're going to redo things. Like the LAN parties, like I don't, from the dollars and cents mind frame that I have, I don't see how bringing somebody in to playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare with 6 other people, yes, you're getting whatever it is, $20 an hour, $15 an hour, $5 an hour, I don't even know what it is for them playing that game at your store. I don't feel like somebody being in a GameStop for an hour or 2 hours is going to either A, make them buy a game, or B, buy something that they see in the store, or pre-order something that's in the store. I don't see that aspect of sales turning into it. I do see the revenue that they could make from it, but I also could see it. If I was a teenager at this point in time, I would probably use, I'd spend the $5 or $10, go play the game that they're offering on a Friday afternoon or a Tuesday afternoon, and then that would help make my decision if I want to buy the game or not, and that would be the end of the extent. Would I buy the game from GameStop? I don't know. Like, I don't know what my consumerness would be like now with getting notified when Wario64 tweets something and buying a game.
Yeah, they need to come up with like some sort of business model for like let you actually demo the games like it used to be, at FuncoLand and EB Games, where you could actually demo whatever game you wanted to buy. Maybe give you a deal if like, hey, you keep coming to this GameStop to play this game, you can get it used for this much money, and then they can pull in revenue that way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things they could do to save their company. I do worry though that GameStop right now is just trying to get their stock numbers up good enough to where then they can sell them and close up shop.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying, even a little bit in the chat, are saying like they should just go all digital. The only problem that happens with going all digital, and digital footprints are very important in the retail world right now. Like, I don't want anybody to think that I'm not saying that. But if you give someone a code, if you go into the store and they buy a PSN code, a Steam code, Steam's not the best example, but a PSN code and an Xbox code, you are then directing them to another storefront. They purchase from you, but then they have to go to the PSN store or they have to go to the Xbox store to enter this code, and then they see the deals they could be getting with PS Plus or Xbox Live. You're essentially, they're giving you $50 or $60, and then you're directing them to a different store. You're giving them a piece of paper and taking them to a different store that may have a better price on something they're already looking at, and then they won't come to your store anymore.
Yeah, and the margins on digital cards are really low. Like that, most you'll be surprised how many things like a Target carry or a Walmart that are like digital codes or that their margins are super low on, but they're hoping you buy something else. So going all digital, they would need to get, PSN, Xbox Live, Steam, Epic Game Store to give them an incredible deal. And there's no incentive for those digital stores to cut GameStop a better deal, especially with GameStop at like an all-time low. Just because the margins on those cards are really low for GameStop to have. Which is why we saw, was it 2 years ago, they stopped carrying digital games for PSN because they were trying that.
I think Sony cut those.
Yeah, Sony cut those, but even then, the margins on those are low, or Sony was just like, why are we going to even cut GameStop in on this when we have our storefront that will just pop up on every time they launch the console?
Yeah, and I just think that in terms of an entire store dedicated to one function is almost unnecessary now. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Like, you can go to the Best Buys and the Targets and the Walmarts of the world, and they have like an aisle, of like, I don't even know, 20-foot long aisle cabinets dedicated to gaming, and then you have GameStop that has a store similar to like the Foot Lockers that I ran, if not bigger. And I know my Foot Lockers did more money in a smaller space than those GameStops did. I know it.
Most of the GameStops are the size of like a bodega in Chicago. Like, there's not a lot of huge ones. They would have to probably redo retail space. Like, probably close down all their little ones and then open up bigger ones. Which would be, really difficult to do.
Yeah. All right,
but
and
we can move on to
apparently Last of Us is not getting a movie. Thank God, because it's going to go through the Uncharted thing. But it is getting a television show.
Yes, with HBO.
Yeah. It sounds like they've got Neil Druckmann on board for the television show. Naughty Dog tweeted out that we're so psyched to be teaming up with HBO to create the new Last of Us series with Neil Druckmann and somebody else.
Craig Mazan's
handle at the helm. So you know a lot more about HBO than I do. So I'm gonna.
Yeah. So Craig Mazin is the lead writer or creator of Chernobyl, which was the big miniseries last year with HBO about the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Which is like, it seems so perfect to pair him with Neil Druckmann for The Last of Us, because the writing and the direction of Chernobyl was so good and it was so intense. Part of that is because it was based on true events. It was a thing that actually happened that made it really intense, because you're just like, oh shit, humans are stupid. And pairing that with The Last of Us, it seems like a match made in heaven. And the fact that they made the effort to also have Neil Druckmann on the show as well, in terms of, helping write it or direct the show, is brilliant. How much he'll have an actual effort or like part in the show is still unknown, but they at least announced with him. I've seen this backfire before with like, like comic book artists or comic book writers will, their show will get adapted to screen, and then they'll be part of the creative team. But then when the show comes out, it's not that good, or the movie's not that good. So this could still, not turn out well. But as of right now, you have HBO, which are in desperate need of like their new Game of Thrones or their new like big thing. So pairing, the person that helped with Chernobyl and Neil Druckmann is really exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. It sounds like it will be Joe and Ellie. Mm-hmm. They're not going to do
new, like the same universe but different character cast,
Yeah, it sounds like it will be Joe or Joel and Ellie, which is important. The only thing I worry about is when it comes to television, the zombie thing has been kind of like drawn out the last probably decade or so, and we're getting closer and closer to where like The Walking Dead is slowly fading. Game of Thrones had their zombies in it, and that's over with now.
Yeah, I think that Last of Us has enough, at least in the video game, the first one, it had enough human interaction as well, like you versus humans that are trying to just like maintain their lives.
Mm-hmm. Which is the interesting part, of The Last of Us.
And then it was the clickers, kind of like weaving into there, or like your characters brought them there, or they felt like you brought them there, or you're bringing them with you, and then it'll just be interesting to see, because like I've never played The Witcher, and on the heels of the success of the Witcher Netflix show, like is that playing into the storyline of the Witcher series at all, of what people were playing, or is it like kind of a different?
It's The Witcher on Netflix is based on the books, but you do see aspects of the video games in it, where specific monsters you will remember those playing or fighting against those monsters in the games, but it's more based on the book than anything. So that's why the Witcher works really well, because it's based off the books and not the game, even though the game's really good.
So the Witchers were books that were turned into games that were then turned into a show. The Last of Us is a game that is now being turned into a television show, where they're going to pick up the timeline or the events. Is it going to be, like, are we going to find out more stuff that happened to Joel after the beginning of Last of Us until meeting with Ellie? Are we going to find out stuff past between Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2? I don't see them spoiling... I don't see them spoiling anything in Last of Us 2, and then they're probably going to tread...
Well, because it's going to be a long time after.
Yeah, but I think they need to tread lightly on both of those games in terms of exposing people to the series, and then them wanting to play the game, and then finding out like I already know everything that happened in the game because I watched the show.
Yeah, that's something that you have to deal with. Is just like The Last of Us, just the same worries I have with Uncharted. Naughty Dog games are very cinematic as is. You can watch just the cutscenes of The Last of Us and have a really good time. Like, you just go on YouTube and get the supercut of The Last of Us, and it's phenomenal. Them just recreating the game in a TV show form might not be the most, successful thing for people that have already played the games. It'll be amazing, if they can pull it off for people that have never seen the games. But like you said, if they, play too hard onto the games, then if someone wants to pick up the games, they're just like, oh, I've already seen all this in the show. So they have to strike that balance of, making kind of everybody happy. But HBO does seem to give creators a lot of time and trust their creators to actually put together their vision, for better or worse. Game of Thrones Season 8. And I have faith in HBO that way, especially if I'm really hoping Neil Druckmann is actually involved in it. They didn't just say that just for like a cheap pop when they make the announcement.
Right. Yeah, that's always a huge concern.
But I'm going to put you on a spot right now. Who do you cast as Joel?
I don't pay enough attention to actors or anything like that. Like, how am I supposed to answer? Can we make Clint Eastwood have a better beard?
No, I don't want a skeleton as Joel. I was thinking John Krasinski from Jack Ryan.
Okay.
The Office.
All right.
Maybe someone like him. He looks good with a beard. I wish Troy Baker wasn't so pretty, because I would want Troy Baker to just be Joel, but Troy Baker does not look anything like Joel. I really hope for Ellie they just kind of cast a new actress, someone we haven't seen before, and not just...
Yeah, which should be the route you're trying to go. Again, if you're hitting that timeline of when, like in the game, I think she was portrayed as like 14 to 18, 13 to 17 or something.
Yeah, I want to say she was like 13 in the first game, and now in the second one, I think she's significantly older.
So, I mean, there's a huge amount of time that's in there that they could focus on, like the time between part 1 and part 2, I think would be really, really interesting. So, but yeah, that's
over. Sorry.
Yeah.
Over under this coming out before Uncharted the movie.
Oh, it's coming out before that.
Do you think it's going to be out before what is it? March of next year is when they're going to have the movie?
I feel like HBO, when they make a decision, they if they decide, hey, we're going forward with it, then they start they start hitting the casting, and then once they get the casting, they or the director obviously, and then the casting, and then they go like that. We've seen some stuff made very, very quickly on some of these premium networks versus movies.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of things like they need to be within 6 months of the release of this game. 6 to 8 months. Like,
so you think this time next year we'll be watching the Last of Us TV show?
If they want it to be any form of successful, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like, you're at the Video Game Awards, or you're watching the Video Game Awards if they're a thing again. Last of Us is up there, because we know it's going to be up there. It'll probably be nominated, Last of Us Part 2. Just because of Naughty Dog's, can't think of the word right now, but
track record.
Yeah, track record. That you're coming off of that, and then any smart marketer, if they're even remotely close to that, would have a trailer reveal for the show. Like, it would help drive people to HBO, like that have maybe never even knew it, but they're watching because they hear Last of Us, wins, or there's some advertisement at the end of it after winning an award for best narrative direction or something like that. And then watch the movie or watch the television show on HBO on Sunday nights. That time you used to watch Game of Thrones, come watch this.
Yeah, that would be smart, especially it will be in Game Award discussion just because it's a Naughty Dog game. So, which would then put it around December is the Game Awards.
Yeah. And then say it's coming out like February or March or whatever Outbreak Day is, like that when they, that's in September, I think. So.
Oh, yeah, damn. Yeah. Okay, so they could save it for Outbreak Day if they wanted. But that's it. It's either beginning of next year or Outbreak Day. Those are the only times they get to choose for this.
All right, so let's jump into what we're playing and watching. Go ahead and go first.
My list is short. I mentioned earlier that I jumped into Overwatch again. I had to, just because they're doing something new for the 21st season, which, Jesus Christ,
21 seasons. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, so the only reason I bring it up, because I feel like, for the most part, I've been like not bringing it up when I'm playing Overwatch, or I just offhand message it. This season, they are actually icing different characters every week.
What is icing?
So they take them out of play, just to switch up the meta. So the first week, Orisa, one of the tanks, is unplayable. I think it was Hanzo was unplayable for the DPSs, and then Baptiste was unplayable for the healers. And I hate it, but then love it.
How's the community feeling about this?
It depends. The people that are Hanzo, Orisa, and Baptiste players fucking hate it this week.
How do you feel about quote-unquote content you paid for being closed off to you?
It's kind of annoying. They haven't touched Moira yet. I probably will be more annoyed when they take my one trick away from me, which is Moira. I get what they're trying to do. The current problem
they're trying to get their player out of their comfort zone.
Yes, they're trying to get their player out of the comfort zone. This is going to be a thing that they apparently do for, the Overwatch League, is because the current problem with Overwatch is whatever meta is working in Overwatch League is the meta the entire community plays on the game.
So you're saying that people watch other people do well and then they just try to do what they do?
Yes. And which sounds fine, but the issue is, like, Overwatch League was getting really boring and stale because every team was just picking the same meta. So you have like 8 teams in Overwatch and they all had the same loadouts, to where it was just like really getting stagnant. And that was starting to happen in the actual game itself with the community. So this is a way to combat that. I don't know if I like it yet. I will probably hate it more when they take my character away. But the first week they took characters I could care less about away, so I didn't hate it. But that's it for Overwatch. I'm playing a Switch game I mentioned last week, Half Past Fate. I can't review it just yet. I'll have a full review for it next week. because the embargo
I think
lifts.
you can give. I mean, I read the email today. I think you can. You can't review it, but I think you can give some brief thoughts on it.
It's a really short game, so that would basically be my review.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where, like, to review it, it'll probably take like me less than like 5 minutes. So
Okay.
but it's like a narrative adventure game that revolves around the romantic lives of several characters over the course of, I think, 8 years. But I'll get more into it next week, just because I don't want to veer into review territory with it.
That's fine.
But my main thing the last week is just kind of what Dave's been doing, where you get new toys for your setup and you just end up messing around with those toys and try and configure everything. So I bought my version of a second monitor, which is just like a Raspberry Pi tablet that I just use as a second monitor so I can have chat in the thing, so I can be more responsive during Twitch streams on my own, because Dave always criticizes me for my lack of responses because I just look at the game too much. So I was just messing around with that. It made me also start looking into making an emulator machine with the Raspberry Pi.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a dark path to go on, but I won't bore you with that. But it started to make me look at, like, oh, maybe I could do that. And then I've just been, because of C2E2, I've had so much art, so I ended up framing a bunch of stuff. So I'm in the middle of kind of redecorating my office space, and I have no theme anymore for my office space. It's a little bit of everything. The more I stream, you'll start seeing more art pop up behind me probably over the next like couple weeks as I figure out and punch more holes in my apartment walls. And hope I don't lose a deposit.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
And then, I'll be fine. It's not too bad. So that's kind of it for playing. I'm excited though for hopping back into the Switch more as Animal Crossing approaches, and just messing around with, like, I think Bleeding Edge comes out soon. I know one of the Halo games just got released on the Master Chief Collection, which I have not loaded up my PC to play video games in a while, and I kind of feel bad about that because I keep seeing things added to Game Pass.
Yeah. And
I really need to get on that. Trying to think if there's anything else major I watched. Oh, I watched, the Final Kombat was on Sunday. That is the Mortal Kombat 11 tournament. It's their grand finals. It's actually held in Chicago. I was going to go, and, I was like on the fence about it because I was kind of feeling sick. But they decided it because on Friday they told anyone that was attending not to show up because they're worried about coronavirus. So they still held the stream. It was like I want to say it was like an 8-hour stream. And it was a 16-player tournament, double elimination, loser brackets, the full deal. So I watched that from work, and then watched that when I got home. I actually chose that over the wrestling pay-per-view, just because the wrestling stuff's been, we talked about last week, I've been kind of falling off on wrestling a little bit, and the Final Kombat was so good. Sonic Fox, who I've talked about in the past, he's won Dragon Ball Z a couple times, and he is mostly known for being one of the best Mortal Kombat and Injustice players in the world the last, 5 years or so. So I was just, cheering him on from the comfort of my home and watching him just dominate and play mind games with his opponents. He actually, though, there's a new guy, Ninja Killer, and it's his first season in Mortal Kombat, and he actually took Sonic Fox out of the winner's bracket, so then Sonic Fox had to go into the loser's bracket and fight his way to the finals, where then he ended up defeating Ninja, and it was really, really intense. I highly recommend, if you're into watching competitive play, it is some of the best stuff. And it was just, it was fascinating watching as Sonic just got in this kid's head, because the kid kind of took him out. Like they went all the way, to the final set when Ninja beat Sonic. So he was pretty confident going into, the actual finals where he had a rematch with Sonic. And then it just kind of fell apart for the kid, and Sonic just went into like hyper mode and just destroyed him at the end. It was so fascinating, and I love watching Sonic Fox, and I think he will probably do Dragon Ball Z again during EVO, so looking forward to seeing what he does, because I don't think Mortal Kombat is going to be at EVO this year, because they seem to have like a on-again, off-again relationship with EVO. But yeah, that was the highlight of what I've been watching. What have you been up to, Dave?
So, Warlords of New York came out last Tuesday, and I've been playing that pretty regularly. I'm on a pretty extensive work schedule, like a 7-day run. I actually realized today that just the way my schedule worked out, that my store was open for the last 30 hours the store had been open. I had been there.
Okay.
So, like, I went into work at noon on a Saturday, and I closed the building. And then when we work on Sundays, usually, like, if I'm closing on Sundays, like, our store's open like 10 to 8 or 10 to 7, and I came in at 9:30 and I left at 8. So we were essentially open to close, even though it's a Sunday, so that's not really an open to close in the retail world. And then I opened on Monday. So my store opened at noon, closed at 9:30 on Saturday, opened at 10 a.m. on Sunday, closed at 7, and I was there that whole time. I opened at 10 a.m. on Monday, and I left at 6 o'clock on Monday. And during that stretch of time, I was at work all of the time.
Jeez.
Yeah. But I'm not done. I'm one mission away from being done with Warlords of New York, and the seasonal content kicks off tomorrow, March 10th. It seems to be a big day for seasonal content in general and in games and updates, with Warzone and Destiny and Division. But all releasing new stuff tomorrow on March 10th. But I really am enjoying Warlords of New York. The campaign. There's a weird caveat that's in this, though, that it is gonna affect my review score because I don't like it. When you go to New York, you get on a helicopter and you leave Washington D.C. and you go to New York. You are then stuck in New York until you complete the Warlords campaign. You cannot go back to D.C. You cannot play with your friends. You cannot. You can play with your friends if they're in New York. But if like a whole bunch of our community bought Warlords of New York, or I'm sorry, bought Division 2 when it was like $3, and
so they're not caught up at all.
They're not caught up at all. If you purchase Warlords of New York, you automatically got a level 30 pass, like you got a level 30 boost, and you can go right to New York, or you can make a new character and go right to New York. But that required you purchasing Warlords of New York. So if like the people that I was playing the game with that were like level 18, or level 22, or level 26, or level 12, and they're going through the campaign, once I went into New York, I can't leave.
That seems poorly designed. Did they mention anything about fixing it? I feel like that would cause outrage.
No, and I haven't really seen them talk about it. But I also really haven't been looking for it. It just seemed like a really interesting choice at the time. Now, it's not a terribly long campaign, but it's long enough. I mean, you're going after 5 essential rogue agents, your main agent, and you're going after Keener, who's the main agent. He's been in all the trailers, and he has 4 lieutenants, and the 4 lieutenants each have intel that you're collecting on them, that are leading you towards Keener, and then you're fighting that rogue agent, and they have really, really cool backstories, like of why they went rogue and why they're with Keener and why they turned away from the Division, and the missions are very good. Like I haven't been challenged like this in a looter shooter game, like in a Destiny or a Division or Anthem, in a very, very long time. In terms of like, it's truly a cover-based shooter. You need to be in cover. You need to be smart about using your skills and your abilities and when you use them, and because if you don't, you're gonna get just wrecked. And the missions have interesting mechanics to them. It's the most fun that I've had in Division 2 or Division's franchise in a long time, and it's also the balance of not feeling like super overpowered that I have been super overpowered for a long time because I've been helping people with lower level content. So I've already been over leveled, and I can just stand there with my 200 clip machine gun and just mow people away like I did on stream a couple weeks ago, where I just stood in front of the monster closet and just fired my gun into the door. As they came out, they died. Now it's like these tanks are coming at you, and they're just destroying your skills or breaking through your barriers, and they're coming after you, and you're gonna die if you don't move. So, and then I've been able to play a little bit with some of the community and just messing around with them, and that's fun. The way that the game has been scaling, so I'm very, very impressed with the content. I just don't like the decision of being stuck in New York. I think that's really, really weird. And then I also am not 100% sure how the seasonal content is being delivered. Is it in DC? Is it in New York? Is it in a little bit of both? And we'll find that out, and I'll be able to talk about that like next week, because they have their battle pass in Division 2 as well, of a 3-month season, and your ability to go from 0 to 100 and get cosmetic items, and there's a paid track and a free track. And I'm a little worried because like we talked about earlier, the Call of Duty stuff is interesting to me. Is it going to be interesting enough to me to purchase a battle pass from Call of Duty? I don't know. I believe I'm getting the Division Battle Pass with this Warlords expansion purchase. I think that I get this first season as part of that expansion, and then the new Destiny content is there too. That starts on the 10th. This current season, they've been very quiet about it until like just recently this week, and it looks underwhelming. But it also presentation wise, it's very underwhelming, but it looks like it might be something the game desperately needs, which is an extended amount of time on its core mechanics of the strikes and Gambit and Crucible, of spending time there updating those loot tables, and those haven't been touched in a long time. So like a season of maintenance of like building the core mechanics of the game back up are the reasons why people play the game, and the things that are there that don't get used as much, versus continuously introducing a new activity to do that goes away. So like they released a huge director's cut like a week ago, like Luke Smith was talking again, like I mentioned, and he was talking about the challenge of release, like of FOMO, of fear of missing out, and that some people love it, a lot of people hate it, because they're like, well, I can't get I don't have time to commit to that, and you took my money, like I was asking you about with Overwatch. Like, you took my $10, and then after 90 days you're saying that stuff that you showed me to entice me to spend the $10 I can't get now.
It's the life, man.
So I don't know if it is or isn't gonna work. And then I really haven't been playing the Switch very much because my 4-year-old is like got it locked to his hands, and he's been playing a ton of Mario Odyssey, except for when he has a jumping problem or a boss fight, then he gives it to Dad. But I did pick up for him. I picked up Paw Patrol on a roll. It was on sale for the Switch for like $19.99, and then with the Mario March 10th being Mario Day, they've had like I got Mario Rabbids.
It's supposed to be good.
Yeah, that. Owen thinks he's gonna play that, and he is gonna play it, but he's probably just mess around. I'm looking at it from a cool like turn-based aspect of like this might be really fun. So I got that for like $15 or something like that. So I've got like 3 or 4 Switch games all of a sudden. So, but yeah, I didn't really watch a lot of stuff this week, and didn't really get a chance to mess around with some stuff. So that is it for me. I'm really looking forward to like MLB. I'm kind of getting the baseball. It's like it was like the last 2 days has been like 60 degrees where I didn't like need my coat when you walked from the store to the car, and you could actually like, I think we slept the other night with the window open just a little bit.
No, it's guaranteed to get sick that way.
No,
I'm not falling for that.
Not much, just a little bit.
Dude, you're in Michigan. You know it can turn on a dime.
I know, but having that breeze through the house there's nothing better, man. So after like months of like having your house, like when you open that window for the first time, and it like you just like you're hearing that like that your window hasn't opened in so long.
I'm in an old apartment. My windows have been plasticed up since November. Like, I can't wait to take that plastic off that window.
So, but yeah, that like, so that's just like, for me, it's just it's baseball season. Now, yes, I know I'm in Michigan, and it's gonna be like I'm gonna be out in like a hoodie and jeans, or like a hoodie and shorts in a couple weeks, and then I'm gonna be like shoveling snow in like 2 weeks. I know it, but like I'm okay with that right now. So.
And your baseball team's bad.
My baseball team is terrible.
My team has hope. I'm excited.
My team has hope to be the number one pick in the draft again. Detroit sports are just so bad right now, all across the board, all of it. When your Lions are your most successful sports franchise the last couple of years, that's not good.
No.
Not good.
The Red Wings aren't even good?
They're going to be the worst team in hockey this year.
Okay, yeah, I haven't been paying attention to hockey this year. Since I don't have cable anymore, like, I fell off on hockey so hard.
The Pistons are going to be a bottom 5 NBA team. The Wings are going to be a bottom 3 hockey team. The Tigers are going to be a bottom 2 baseball team. And the Lions probably won't make the playoffs. So.
The Bears will still be the Bears, which means they'll disappoint everybody. The Blackhawks are probably doing fine, but I fell off hockey. They're not the worst. They're not the best. They're right in the middle. The Bulls are terrible, and management's the worst. And the Sox give me hope, which means they'll probably disappoint me come July.
Hey, well, I mean, at least you're not the Knicks and kicking Spike Lee out.
Yeah, we haven't done that. But I'm sure there's a veteran that Jerry Reinsdorf is just looking at, like, how can I disrespect you? And then he'll do so.
All right, we're going to jump over to some community questions. You guys really hit us with a lot of them this last couple of days, so we appreciate that. Please, you don't have to wait till the day before we record the show to send us questions. Send them to us. I would love to have enough questions that we have to be like, hey, we're going to push 2 over to next week, and then just keep rolling them, so it's always good. So you can send us questions on the Facebook group. Just search Digital Days Gaming, and you can use hashtag AskDigitalDays. Same hashtag on Twitter, at Digital Days Pod, or just use the hashtag. You don't even have to, again, tag us. So Hussein on our Facebook wrote, I actually forgot my main question because my daughter wanted me to play with her. But what do you guys think is the best multiplayer I can own on the Xbox One? I'm thinking of getting Modern Warfare, but I'm hesitant of getting it as I don't have many Xbox friends. And do you guys prefer... All right, well, here, you answer this question. He's got another question in here, so...
Yeah, it's okay to get Modern Warfare. It's cross-platform, so you can play with your PlayStation friends, and you can play with your PC friends, and you guys will all be happy. You just have to make an Activision account, so you can build your Activision friend list. I would probably say Modern Warfare is the best multiplayer game you can play right now outside of like Fortnite, Apex Legends, though Fortnite is not my cup of tea at all. Usually, like, Prime Xbox, I would say get yourself a Halo game, but the last Halo game didn't really hit that hard. Halo Infinite hopefully will be really good at the end of the year. But even the last Gears game, the multiplayer just didn't take off. So yeah, Modern Warfare might be your best bet. You will have to, you can play Warzone for free though, so you can use that as like your demo for whether you should buy Modern Warfare. But luckily we are slowly approaching the future where there's cross-platform games, so you're not going to be like locked out of like your other friend lists.
I 100% agree with what you're saying, and that was the first thing that came to mind was the cross-platform play, and then now the Battle Royale mode. And then it's also like with Discord integration, like our Discord, like you can just join a chat room, and if I'm playing on PC and Michael's playing on PS4 and you're playing on Xbox, like we can play together, and we can communicate through Discord and talk to each other, and we don't have to worry about like connectivity of games or connectivity of party systems or anything like that. So, but yeah, like I everything people, if you like first person shooter and multiplayer, like Call of Duty seems to be a little bit too quick for my liking, but I also haven't like sat down and really given it a fair shake. But like it sounds like everybody that's been playing it pretty regularly, once they fixed a little bit of the camping issues that I was hearing about, it seems like it's a pretty good game.
Yeah.
And then his other part of his question is, do you guys prefer popcorn in the movies or not? I can't go to the cinema without popcorn ever. Just can't. If I go to the movies with my wife, it's pretty much a guarantee that I say that we get popcorn, but I get popcorn and she gets like 2 handfuls because she doesn't eat it all. She doesn't eat it very much, but I eat a lot of it, and I'm usually that guy that ends up eating almost all of it like within the first like 15 minutes or 20 minutes of the movie, and then I'm like disappointed that I don't have any more popcorn, and I don't want to go get up to get the free refill because I'm gonna miss some of the movie.
Yeah, I end up doing a thing where I'm sick of popcorn by the time the movie actually starts because of 15-20 minutes of previews. Yep. So I'm just like, I can't have any more of this popcorn.
Well, plus the popcorn gets, like, if you let it sit through the like halfway through the movie, it gets kind of stale and chewy.
So like if I'm going to the movie by myself, I'm not getting popcorn.
Agreed.
I'm not even gonna.
Agreed. I don't do like, and if I go to the movie by myself, I go at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't even get a drink because drinks are overpriced at the movies. So I end up with just nothing when I go to the movies by myself. But if I'm with Sarah, it's popcorn, drink, and that's it.
Yeah, and I usually bank on, like, my wife can't sit through 2.5 hours without having to go to the bathroom. So when she goes to the bathroom, she has to get more popcorn. So yeah, we don't go to the movies as much as we should. It's something that when we do go to the movies, we are always like, hey, we should do this more often. Then we just don't do it again for another like 4 months. Usually another Marvel movie prompts it.
Dude, like I missed so many movies last year that like my Google playlist right now, I just have all the movies I need to rent. I need to do Knives Out, Jojo's Rabbit, Parasite. Basically, I need to run through all the Academy Award movies still. I'm just waiting for like the ultimate lazy day for myself where I'm just going to plant myself on the couch and just marathon all these movies by myself because Sarah doesn't want to watch some of them.
I'll give my wife credit. I don't give her as much of a fair shake as I should when she really wants to watch something and she wants me to watch something with her. But if I really think that she should watch something, she'll watch it with me. So she's much more open-minded about those things than I am. I'm like, I don't want to watch that. That looks like a chick flick. I'm going to go play video games.
Oh, see, like I would want to watch a chick flick, but she won't want to watch chick flick. Like I like romantic comedies, but I don't get to watch them as often.
Yeah. All right. Justin Wilson writes, since Michael is reading the Harry Potter series, I wanted to ask, what books or genres do you like to read? Do you read often? Thank you for the amazing podcast. I do not read often, but for a while when I was going back and forth, when my commute to work was a little bit longer than it is now, and I was getting kind of just agitated with local sports radio and podcasts in general, I was doing some audiobooks, and then my time back and forth to Kentucky. I'd done like a lot of audiobooks. Jason Schreier's books, the Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, I listened to an audio form. Console Wars, I listened to an audio form. Stuff I talked about on the older show that I'd done. And I don't listen to them as much as I would like to now because my commute to work is anywhere from 12 to 16 minutes, and that's not enough time to get into anything. So, but yeah, I can't remember the last book I read.
Yeah, I'm currently going through the Harry Potter books, which is kind of out of my norm. For a while, I was reading comic books a lot more, but it got difficult keeping up with comic books because there's so many of them. Typically, I kind of like biographies or books based on real events. Even when I was a little kid, like in the 5th grade, I did a book report on Pete Rose's Prison with No Bars book. You know, like as a 5th or 6th grader. Everyone else was doing book reports on Harry Potter. I'm forgetting some of the books that people read back then as a kid. You know, Lion, Witch, and a Wardrobe stuff. And I was just like, oh, this is about a baseball player from the 70s that got banned for life for gambling. I was a weird kid. I would do book reports on like biographies and true stories. And to this day, like I still am more inclined to pick up a book if it was based on something that actually happened. You know, I went through the video game books that Dave just mentioned, and I go through it was like a history of television shows where the author discussed specific TV shows and their impact on pop culture. I love stuff like that. There was a book I read 2 years ago, which was a bunch of like scholar essays on the TV show Dollhouse, and they like had a bunch of really smart people analyze and break down a TV show, and I'm really into reading stuff like that. So like me reading Harry Potter is just kind of out of the norm and comfort zone, because I'd rather watch like a fantastical thing as opposed to read it. Just my brain my imagination sucks. So like so that gets reflected in my reading to where I'd rather read about realistic things or stuff based on true stories. Though I'm enjoying the Harry Potter series. It's the first time in a long time where I'm reading like a fantasy book outside of the Witcher, which I started to read when the show came out, but I even didn't like follow through with that. I kind of stopped reading the Witcher books after like a couple chapters. Not because they're bad or anything, it's just because my attention span, my imagination just wasn't clicking for me.
All right. So those are the questions that we got for this week. I know we got a couple more that we can save for the following week.
Yep.
Do you have anything that you wanted to spotlight this week?
Not really. Warzone is probably going to be my spotlight because I'm interested to see how that plays out, and I kind of want to. Tomorrow it comes out, or Tuesday it comes out, and I kind of am interested in seeing how that affects Twitch. Just how, when Apex came out, how the Fortnite streamers turned to Apex streamers, and I'm interested to see the Fortnite and Apex streamers turn into Call of Duty streamers tomorrow, and watching the reactions to that game. So that's probably gonna be my spotlight. Just seeing how that turns out, and hopefully it turns out well.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just a little bit wrapped up in the seasonal content for me. Like, that's the spotlight. I'm a little concerned about how Destiny's going to handle this next season. That looks very underwhelming on paper. That they're banking a lot on the PvP Trials of Osiris. Is seasonal content in Division 2 going to be successful? And is seasonal content in Call of Duty going to be successful with another added layer of a free-to-play model that could have that sounds like it'll have a paid track of custom, of items that you can earn with, like weaving all of this stuff together. Is very, very interesting in seeing how this is going to work. And I was looking on Twitter today, like a good friend of ours, Chandler, tweeted out like the calendar might not be loaded with new games, but there's content coming, in these games, and it's just a matter of like these live service games, guys, aren't going away. Like, and for me, like, to have two games that I'm enjoying, that I do enjoy playing, and currently I am enjoying the Division 2 very, very much, and I don't know if it's going to hold my attention long enough through a season, but if there is something cool in like rank 80 or 90 of that Division 2 season pass that I think is worth getting, I'm going to get it, because that's just kind of how my mind works. And same thing with Destiny. Like, I'll still, spend the $10 and play Destiny, enjoy it. And a lot of the stuff they make is cool, although the armor that they've been advertising this season is terrible, and I don't care about it. But I'm really curious to see how this is going to continue to evolve and to keep the player base, and with games doing the free to play model as well, and essentially banking on you purchasing a battle pass. Like, Fortnite has proven that works. Apex has proven that works. Destiny has proven that their seasonal content, whether you love it or hate it, still works. Like, the studio didn't stop doing it. So, Ubisoft and Massive have proven that they can take a game that people deemed boring and not fun, and give it a fresh coat of paint and re-energize its player base. Like, they've shown that all of that stuff can work. And then you still have the companies coming out with Spider-Man saying, here's your one and done, have fun, and it wins awards. So it's just a really cool time to be playing video games right now. And I feel like there's something for everyone, and just let people play what they want to play. Like, let them play what they want to play, let them play how they want to play, and just have fun. And please, like, join the Discord. If we're gonna play Call of Duty together, it'll probably be better in Discord. I don't want somebody that's on PC to feel like they can't play because we're all playing on PS4. Like, the Discord link is in the show notes description. The invite doesn't expire. I'm all for making new rooms, additional rooms as the chat grows. If we need to make a Call of Duty one, like, we'll make a Call of Duty one. If we need a Destiny one, I have an entire separate Discord for that. Go over there. Michael doesn't want to see that. If you want to play Apex, we'll figure it out. I don't care what platform you play on, we'll find someone to play the games with you, and don't be afraid to go online. It still fascinated me that, I'm gonna call him out again. He laughs at me when I do it, but Kevin had a PlayStation for as long as I can remember, and the guy didn't join a party chat until like PS5 is about to come out. He didn't even he didn't even know how to leave party chat. So just come play the game, come hang out, let's have fun, let's find a game that you have and I have, or Michael has and you have, and let's play. If you want to play Warzone, let's play Warzone. I don't know how many it's going to let us play. I don't know if you can do what. More than likely, I would trio. Okay, yeah. So if you play Apex, let's play Apex. If you're playing Division, let's play Division. If you're playing Destiny, let's play Destiny. If you haven't been through a raid, let's go through a raid. Let's have fun together, and let's play games in 2020 and just have fun and not care about anything else. I use video games as an outlet. I don't want to talk about. We can talk about it, but I don't want to think about coronavirus at that time. I don't want to think about politics or elections or medical insurance. I just want to shoot something in the head and laugh with my friends. So you can do all that. You can join our Facebook group, search Digital Days Gaming, Twitter @Digital Days Pod. Michael's is @TheFirstMJC. Mine is @GoodDaveHunt. Those are plenty of ways that you can reach us. You can just like the page on Facebook. You can go to our Patreon page if you want to, and give us, throw us a buck, throw us a couple bucks a month. Get a couple cool rewards, get a private channel in Discord, get early access to the podcast, get a bonus episode eventually.
You got to work on that.
Yeah. You can, all those things are there, different ways to support us. Give us a Twitch subscription on Amazon if you have Amazon Prime, or if you don't, and you feel like dropping $5 on us, come hang out in the chat. Come just say hi, talk to us, mess around with Michael when he's playing Call of Duty and he's trying to pay attention, and just spam chat so he sees it all scrolling on his new monitor so he has to look. Just do it.
Yeah, between the cats and watching chat. Oh, that's so difficult.
It's very important for us to interact with you guys and to be part of the growing community, and in order for us to do that, we got to know what you're playing and where you're playing, and we'll figure something out. It's just that's what we want Digital Days to be. So, you got anything else?
No, I think you said it all right there.
All right, guys. I hope everyone has a great week. We'll be back next week. I think we'll be streaming a little bit this week. Hopefully Michael streams Warzone. I might stream Warzone. I've got some Division 2 stuff. Maybe I'll make Owen sit on my lap and show you guys how he plays Mario Odyssey on stream, so you can see what's going on. But I hope everyone has a great week, and keep moving forward.
See ya.